Hi, Doug here. So I wanted to walk you through the RC Allen 85 figuring machine. I've been kind of going quick through the video, and I just want to show all the features and how one of these things actually works, at least the best to my understanding. So the primary thing you'll see here is the keypad, they call it on the front. And you notice it's laid out kind of weird. There's a lot of repeated numbers. It's not like your standard keypad you would find on a phone that has 9 in the top left, or a keyboard on a computer. And this is because of the mechanical design of this back then. It was the only way you could do it. Each row of numbers has a sliding bar under it, and each number sticks down farther on that bar that actually pushes it further. So if I hit 1 here, that moves 1 index up. If I hit 2, it's pushed 2 clicks up, 3, so forth and so on. So if I hit 9 up here, like so, and I pull this down, watch right here, you'll see as it literally counts up to 9. And then the 9 is released. So it's taking that bar, and as it's releasing it back to 0, it's dragging it across that giant wheel inside, which is counting up those numbers. So it has no clue that there's a 9 there. It just knows that this has been ticked 9 times past. So now you're going to ask yourself, why is this weird color layout on here? Well, the way this was set up is this was used a lot in financial institutions, in the accounting department. You were tabulating. So these row here would be your cents, and then these would be your dollars going off. So let's say I wanted to put 22 cents in. There's my 22 cents. If I wanted to add $2.22, that would be that number. $22.22, $222.22, and going forth, 2,222, 22,000. So the biggest number you could put into this would be 999,999 and 99 cents if you were to go with that standard layout. What's really cool about this system is it has something called rollover. So if I put a 9 here into the system, we have a 9. What happens if I add a 1 to that? This is a dumb dial. How does it know? Well, if you notice, when I start bringing this back, that 9 is going to start rolling over to 0 because it's gone through its whole rotation. When it does that, it brings the next digit with it. It has a tab sticking on that wheel. When it comes around, it pushes that over to 1. And that works across the entire system. So if I clear this out, and we put all 9s in here like so, and I leave that last one open. So we put all of our 9s in there, and I add a 1 to that, and I bring this down. So you'll watch that 9 start to roll over to 0. This happens really fast. The next one rolls, and then they all roll over, and we get the 1 all the way over there. So it's a really cool little system. So the next question you're going to ask is, what am I doing here? Well, the hand crank is what operates the entire unit. It's what does all the mechanical interface. There's no motor in this. You're doing it by hand. So when I take a number and I press it down, you see how it latches. That is my input. If I made a mistake, I press that, it resets it. But I want to put a 1 there, so it goes vertically up. I crank this in, it puts the 1 in. So I have that 1. Let's say I want to add another 1 to it. I just press that 1 down again. I now have 2. Now, if I want to keep adding 1, I use this repeat key, and it has a little latch on it that holds it against the surface. So I can just 3, 4, 5, I can just keep adding those 1s over and over again. Where these things get kind of powerful is you can add large groups of numbers. So if I do this 3, 3, 3, 3 like so, and I put repeat on, it puts that giant number in, and it just keeps adding it, and each number handles its own carryover in real time. So you don't have to keep track of all that. What's really neat about this is old operators using, I think, 1 or 2 hands could enter in large numbers at the same time at once and then put those in. So they could actually do this faster than a person actually writing it or typing it in on a normal keypad, which is really cool for back in the day. So next key up here, you're going to see we have subtotal and total. Those are different. So let's say I want to clear out the display. I hold in the total while pulling back on the lever. So it's a little bit of a complex operation. When I do that, you notice it all goes to zeros here and resets. That clears it out. Well, you're going to ask yourself, what's the difference between the two? Well, to see the difference, we're going to turn the non-print on. So that prevents it from printing. All it does is turn off the hammers inside. So we're going to put a number in. So 999. We're going to add that 999. So we have that to show up on the display. We're going to take that, and just for later ones, we're going to add 55, let's say, to that. And let's say I want to do a subtotal of those 2 numbers. So I'll hold that down like so, and it gives me a subtotal with a little S next to it. That little S signifies that is a subtotal, but it kept the number on the screen. If I want to actually clear the screen and total out, I hold that down, pull this, it gives me that number that was here, it prints it out here and puts an asterisk next to it, letting me know that I've done a full totaling of it and have cleared the register. So that number no longer exists in the system. So it's a very cool double lever that you can push to operate it. This key down here is a minus key, which most of these didn't have. So if I put, let's say, 444 into the register here, so we see that, I can then subtract 222 from that by hitting the subtract key and then pulling that, and you see it subtracts that. and it actually prints out the subtracts as red with a little minus sign next to it. I'm starting to run out of ribbon, so I'm going to turn the print off for a moment just so we don't go through all that. But that is the subtract key, repeat, and then our non-repeat, or non-print. So that's the front layout. We talked about the lever and all that it does. So what happens if you have all zeros and then you subtract one from it? Well, you were like me, I was curious. So let's pull one out. We'll do this slow motion here. You can see it rolling over all to nines. So it rolls to a negative number. It won't print that number because it doesn't know that number exists. Technically, it's negative. But I can add a 1 back to it, and you can see it carries over, and it goes back to 0, and then I can add another 1 onto that. So really cool stuff, the way this works. And I said you can do really large numbers like so, and then if you watch up top here, see how these come up at different heights? That correlates to the number position, because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 going down. And that's how it lifts up, and then the hammers come up and strike onto it. So let me pull this cover off here so you can actually watch that process, because I think it's amazing. So for example, let me clear this out. So if I pull the lever with nothing on the screen, you see the hammers just come up to 0, nothing happens. If I put a 9 in, you see that 1 goes up to 9 and comes back down. So if I were to do 1, 9, 1, 9, 1, 9, 1, 9, they should alternate coming up. See that? And of course you can do fun patterns too. So like if I come up and do like a diamond pattern like that, you can see it looks like an Art Deco tower. So it's neat how these, again, the printer is indexed mechanically. It doesn't know what these numbers are. It just knows to move that up the same amount of ticks that this had to move to reset. And then when it's up, these hammers will come in. So we'll waste a little bit more printer ink here, or toner, ribbon, excuse me. So I pull that up, you see the hammer comes and strikes that in. So if doing another one up here like so, you see the hammers go in to strike that, and it puts the whole number in, which is really neat. There's a single hammer for that one, and then there's the total hammer, so you get all of them to go in. So the hammers are based on if you're printing or not. So when I have it in non-print mode, it still brings up the numbers, but the hammers just don't strike the ribbon to use it, which is really cool. And also it doesn't index the ribbon, as far as I can tell, to move it forward. So that's the operation of that. This little wheel here lets you move your numbers up, so you can actually add a little space in between them, check your numbers, or return them back. This lever on the side here releases the paper and lets you slide it. That relatches it, so it's also used for feeding new paper in. There's a little slide position here. That changes your kerning, if you will, vertically, your spacing between your numbers as it prints out. So if you want easier to read, but waste more paper, or closer together so it's more dense, you have that little option there with that little slide piece. I think that is everything on this. And then you can see you have your display here, which the max number it can do is 999,000, or 999,099 if you want to go that route, or cents, hundreds, thousands. So basically 1 million would be your biggest number, or 999,000. So that is the RC Allen. This is the model 85, and it is a figuring machine from the 40s. So for you guys to get a kick out of it and the full operation of how it works. Thanks for watching.